Well, good old M&S food hall, sweetheart. 5 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, and look at it. Anyway, this is where the coach stopped from Victoria Station. Stopped right there. And this is where I got out last night, Monday night. And now it was a little later, it was about 8:30 at night. Whereas now it's 5. And here's the beach. Now I am going to come by here and take a video during the day at some point, so you can kind of see the difference. There's the beach, and you probably can't make it out, but you can't even make out my finger. Oh, this is useless. Let's swing around this way. Maybe that's not much better, is it? Anyway, but the water is lapping up about, I don't know, 50, 75, no, maybe 50 yards away. It's that nice sound, I don't know if you can hear it, of the water lapping up. But I will definitely come by here during daytime. I mean, it's very peaceful, actually. Very pleasant. I mean, not that you can see it, but this is all sand. No pebbles, nothing like that. It's all just like that normal coloured sand. And as I swing around National Express bus stop, Wetherspoons I went to this morning is just up there, next to, very close to a statue of King George III, who was well known in the USA. The last king of America, or the USA part of America anyway. Anyway, look, palm trees. Check this out, palm trees. Remember at 58 there were some of these, like I think these are called Torquay palms. I think. Anyway, but yeah. So, but fear not, I will be by here during the day. Look, fish and chip shop closed. You know, of course, this is what, the 29th of November, so a lot of these businesses are shut down. You know, people have gone off to their second homes in whatever country it is, you know, which is understandable, really. But anyway, yeah, there's, can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? There is a statue of King George III, the madness of King George, that king, who of course had an illness that was not known at that time. It was called Psoarias or something or other. Oh, there he is. There he is there. That's King George III. But apparently because of his illness, it was suggested that he come down here to Weymouth to sort of relax, take in the sea air and all that kind of thing. And they apparently came down to Weymouth quite a lot, actually, which helped it develop into the kind of place it is. I can imagine during the summer this would be packed, you know, but this would also be really, really nice, I would think. I mean, so you do have the beach just there, and everything else that goes along with that kind of lifestyle. But of course now, on the 29th of November, it's a little different. Okay, talk to you later. Hi honey, okay, it's Wednesday morning. I'm now on the Isle of Portland, well known for Portland stone and Portland cement. Just over there is Weymouth, and so yesterday I started off in Weymouth, walked kind of all the way along this causeway and around the other side of the island to its farther point, which is called Portland Bill, where there's a lighthouse. Then I walked back a mile. This time of year the nearest bus stop is about a mile away, so I walked back to that and took the bus back into Weymouth. That was yesterday. Today I took a bus back to that same place where I picked up the bus yesterday, walked that mile again and picked up the southwest coast path down there, and here it is. It's a little easier than yesterday mostly. It's a little flatter and what have you, but because of the rain, it is a little slippery. I've only fallen over once, and as is common with a lot of the coastline in the UK, there's no barriers, and that's a deliberate policy because barriers spoil the view. But obviously there are risks with that, and Doesn't happen that often, but one does hear about people going off the edge. Normally because they've just taken an unnecessary risk, trying to take a selfie, or maybe they were standing close to the edge and the gravel gave away and they gave away with it. Although I do suspect that there are probably more times where the gravel starts to give away and people kind of step backwards to avoid well, what would be a certain death. But yeah, I think 2-3 years ago, a couple of I think they were Japanese and Dover or somewhere around there went over the edge, and the camera was retrieved, and sure enough they'd been taking selfies. And you see how easy it is here. You know, there's the edge there. You imagine going, you know, walking up to it and then it gives away, and you know, if you step back, fine, but if you don't step back, then well, that's it. Anyway, so yeah, this is like a causeway that separates Portland from Weymouth over there. I believe this is man-made. This is all like a sand beach, and it's like a defense thing actually, because over the centuries there have been all sorts of defenses put up here, going back to the days of Henry VIII, and actually before actually, and because of invasion threats from the Spanish, the French, the Germans, who have you. So yeah, I think that was also part of some defense thing. And there's a couple of forts here and there which are all, you know, part of that. Over there is where the sailing events, well, I guess it was over there, unless it was here as well. I think it was over there though. The harbour, Weymouth Harbour, the sailing events for the 2012 Olympics. So good place for that, really good place for that actually, I would have thought. You can see there, yeah, it must be a harbour. You can see like there's a breakwater out there, and there's a gap in there for vessels to come in and out of. There are ferries from here that I think I've seen some road signs in English and French, so there must be some ferries that go over to wherever it is in France. Anyway, today's the 30th of November. I would think in the summer, besides the heat, of course, some of the views around here must be just absolutely staggering. You can see how it is now, right? Where, there's been a lot of drizzle this morning, that fine mist. I did fall over once, so it's not the greatest thing, but I should imagine when, you know, all this sky is blue, and of course it'd be hot, that would be the big disadvantage. But some of the views must be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But not so much today. I mean, this isn't so bad, I suppose, but I mean, you get the idea. Anyway, so I'm walking back. This is a 13-mile loop of the Jurassic Coast. I think the total distance is something like 93 miles. And this Portland loop is, I believe, 13 of that. For 13 of that 93. So I'm cutting it down. Also from the end there, from the end of the causeway, it's called Ferry Bridge. There's about 3.5 miles into Weymouth, which I walked yesterday morning. And that's part of the Jurassic Coast as well. Anyway, so you get the idea. This, you know, some of this would have been difficult for you. There's been some bits down there where I've had to go clambering up and down, and because it's, you know, it's wet. It's kind of been a little dodgy, you know, and so I have fallen over once. Oh, there's a road up there. See, I could get a bus from up there, but I'm not going to. But yeah, so I think, well, I don't think, honey, it would have been a problem. Anyway, later. Well, my love, here's something we've seen before many times, and I'll just read out what it says along the Weymouth, Portland and Dorset host venue for the London 2012 Olympic Games sailing events, 29th of July to 11th of August 2012. How about that? And of course, that's the Olympic sign. 5 circles, 1 for each continent, because as many people believe there are 5 continents. Some people believe 4, some people believe up to 14. But well, that's the Olympics, 5, you know. Anyway, okay, here we hear, and here's a information board about all of that. And just to let you know, Okay, this bit of this harbour bit there. Okay, where I guess a lot or most of those sailing events took place is not that there or that there. It's kind of over a bit. I don't think you can actually see that from here. I mean, we're not the actual. I mean, the beach is just over here because this is where the coach stopped. Just over there. So yes, I mean, this looks as though it'd be a great place for sailing events. Maybe not this side so much on the left. So anyway, so here's that. Anyway, yeah. So here's this. This I believe all this sand is man-made, I believe, because it was used as maybe still used, I don't know, as is today, maybe, I don't know, as some defense, as part of a defense system over the centuries. The Spanish, the French, the Germans have all done their best to invade this country, and here on the south coast, would be, I mean, France is not too far away, so if you're in France wanting to invade England, this would be a reasonably close point. And so all along the south coast, over the centuries, there's been all sorts of defense things put up. There's a fort over there, there's another one over there. I can see where there used to be gun emplacements, all that type of thing. Yeah, and I think some of those forts were built King Henry VIII, because he was worried about the French. Yeah, that's right, the French Navy attacking, all that kind of thing. And so, remnants of that stuff is still around, for sure. Yeah, so I believe all that sand is besides being like, I guess, a nice beach, was a defense thing. The southwest coast path picks up over there and then heads further west. So maybe that's something we may well do together. I don't know. In the summer, I guess this is all very nice and what have you, I would think. And the road doesn't go along the sand. You can see it just slightly bending off to the right. And then once you're the other side of that causeway, you're then back in Weymouth. But there's a little down there. I stopped there yesterday morning. But anyway, yeah. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to show you actually. Now you see, I have to be careful. It's been raining. That's made it a little precarious walking along. And as I mentioned, I've had to do some clambering up and down. Sometimes there's steps, most of the time there's not. And yeah, it's can be a little iffy actually. I've fallen over once. I slipped actually, so I didn't actually go head first. I went feet first. So that's a bit of cleaning up to do when I get back. Anyway, so I'm now walking slightly up, so it might get a little windier. So forgive that. There's just one other thing I want to show you actually. Actually, doesn't that look like a mini Stonehenge? I saw that on the bus yesterday. And oh, just there, right? Looks like a mini Stonehenge. I'm gonna check that out actually. But yeah, I just do want to show you one thing here. This, I don't know what you call it. I'm sure it's got a name. But back in, I think, in 1588, the Spanish tried to invade. And one of their, that's when you had the Barco de Fuego, the fireboats and all of that. And this being all along the south coast, I suppose maybe their intentions were to land on the south coast somewhere. Anyway, so these beacons were set up, and they were all along the south coast, all the way up, I guess into London, I suppose. This is a replica. I think these have been here since the Queen's, I'm guessing here, 60th anniversary of her being on the throne, I believe. Or maybe it was the Olympics. Anyway, I can't remember. But anyway, and there's no plaque there to explain it, but I'm sure that's a replica. So what happened is that when the Spanish were first sighted, somebody lit a beacon. So the beacon next to that, those people would have seen that beacon lit. So then they would have lit their beacon, and then the person, the beacon, the other side of them, they would have seen that beacon being lit. So they would have lit their beacon, and all the way along the coast. No mobile phones. That would have made it a lot easier, wouldn't it? But yeah, and so then you have that, Queen Elizabeth speech at Tilbury Fort where we went, and all of that. And that's just down there. Actually, you can see the tarmac, and just off to the left is where that's where I was walking along when I started the walk this morning from Portland Bill. It was all yucky, lots of mud, and I slipped once, and it was close to the cliff edge and all that kind of thing, and that finally ended just down there. and I walked out, and then lo and behold, it's like pavement. It's like, whoa, this is a lot easier. So that's the bit I walked along, and that bit of cliff that's fallen over, that's the other side of that, right? There was a stretch where I could see that a great big chunk of cliff that had been part of the path had collapsed. Not too sure when, but of course that wasn't possible. I can actually see where the trail was and where people had walked. I mean, it was lying on its side, like 50 feet below me, and of course, there's a big gap, right? So I had to sort of go up and around. And that was just over there, actually, just the other side of all of that. Oh, and there's a sign down there. Portland, home of Portland stone, and also Portland cement. Portland stone, actually, I'm sure I read that some of it was used for parts of St. Paul's Cathedral, the cenotaph in Whitehall, Westminster Abbey, maybe not all of Westminster Abbey, maybe not the earlier bits, but quite possibly the later bits, and I'm sure other places as well would have used Portland stone. And yeah, is that like a miniature Stonehenge? I suppose there is just but one way to find out. This is the first road I've come across since I kind of got off the bus, actually. Okay. Now you see that's nothing. There have been some bits that I walked along that were at 45-degree angles, maybe even 60 degrees, and slippery, and lots of gravel and what have you, and that's definitely precarious. And I think you would have had a problem for sure. Anyway, let's cross over here. Okay. Right, this is all a diversion, actually. I was going to stay on the path, the Southwest Coast path, but then I saw the Olympic sign, and yeah, so that was that. But it's been a lot easier today. Well, distances are shorter today, because yesterday, 3.5 miles of the Jurassic Coast is the bit from Portland to the ferry bridge, which is at the Weymouth end of the causeway. That was 3.5 miles. So I did that yesterday. And then the Portland bit of the Jurassic Coast is apparently 13 miles around. And the whole Jurassic Coast walk is, I think, 93. So the Portland loop is 13 of that. And then the bit from the ferry bridge to Weymouth is another 3.5, which I did yesterday morning. So yesterday, I walked from Weymouth to the ferry bridge across the causeway. Then I was on the east side of the island, and there was definitely a lot more up and down there. I mean, serious up and down. And there were some steps, but not always. Some of that was definitely awkward. You wouldn't have been able to do it. Well, maybe if you'd gone really slow. But the problem is this time of year, 4 o'clock, it's kind of, getting dark, and you don't want to be out sort of going up and down slippery slopes. Not at all, but especially when it's dark, that would have been a problem. So yesterday, all around the East Coast, finished at Portland Bill, just that way. And then this time of year, the bus doesn't go all the way to Portland Bill. It stops about a mile away, and of course I didn't exactly know that, so I had to find the bus. Took the bus to Weymouth. That was that. And then today I took the bus back to that same place where I picked up the bus yesterday. Walked the same mile between the bus stop and Portland Bill, so that was like a duplicate. And then started the walk again from, say, over there, and came out just down here. Looks as though it's going to be a lot easier for, if it's regular pavement all the way, then that's going to be a lot easier. Anyway, so is this stone? What's this about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, 12 stones. Of course, it doesn't look like a clock because they don't go all the way around. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason. Something to do with Portland stone, I suppose. Anyway, how about that? Anyway, so, yeah. So in the summer, of course, I mean, some of these views must be absolutely spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. But of course, you'd have to, it's going to be hot. You're not going to have the problem with the slippery trails as I've had. But then, of course, it's hot, I mean, okay, you don't need so much clobber. You still got to have decent footwear. You're going to have to bring more water with you, which, of course, now I've got some water with me, but not a great deal. So, of course, there's not so many people around, but of course it gets dark earlier. In the summer, you're going to have those long summer nights, so that's definitely an advantage. And what I've taken 2 days to do, maybe in the summer you could take 1 day to do, I would think. I mean, if I started early enough yesterday, yeah, if I'd joined the trail, let's say, I joined it at about 11, right? So I was on it for about 5 hours yesterday. If I'd say joined it at, say, 8 o'clock, or maybe even 9 o'clock, maybe I could have done it in that day, yesterday. But anyway, I'm going back now to rejoin the trail, and then I've fallen over once. So I went. I don't know if I mentioned this. I went feet first, fortunately, not head first. You always, if you are going to fall, not great, is it? But go feet first if you can. You just don't want to bang your head, Anyway, so yeah, so that's it. So what time is it? 1:30 Wednesday afternoon. Anyway, I'll talk to you later, my love. Well, here's the other perspective. We just somewhere up there, I think, through the Olympic sign, and that Portland stone sign is up there. So I would have walked from the right, Portland Bill, along, and at some point the yucky bit finishes and it becomes tarmac, and I've just followed that all the way down to this sandy beach. At least that's how it looked when I was up there. But as you can see, it is not sand. Look at it. Millions upon millions upon millions of pebbles. So that must have been quite the job, actually, building all of this, I would think. Unless it is natural, but somebody put that in the comments below. I mean, could be. I don't know. Anyway. I mean, I suppose if you wait millions of years, this will become sand. But anyway, yeah. So here's that's the English Channel out there, La Manche, the English/French Channel. There's the Lidl, and there's a harbour just the other side of these buildings, I guess that's Portland Harbour, where the sailing events did not take place. That would be Weymouth is more over there to the left. And I think that's where you start to see, beaches with sand. Some people like sand, some people prefer pebbles. Of course, this, walking along this is definitely slower than walking over sand or along a regular pavement. But nevertheless, and I think, like at some point, if you keep going down, I guess it has to be a mile or so. I'm guessing that it gets very close to the southwest coastal path. Which, strictly speaking, I think is that pavement down there, along there. Yesterday I walked on the other side. In fact, no, not just the other side. Behind all those buildings, the southwest coast path. It went behind the middle, all the way along the back of those buildings, and then up, kind of that way, up to the left of the that radar dome and all that kind of stuff. So the southwest coast path was not this, at least on the other side of the road, was not the other side of the road. It was, say, behind all these buildings. So whether I'm actually on the southwest coast path now, or whether I should actually be on the pavement, I actually haven't seen any sign one way or the other. The pavement is also shared with bicycles. I kind of wanted to get off it. Anyway, so just past the little, that you can see the road bears around to the right, and that's kind of like the causeway. The other end of it is the ferry bridge, and then of course one is in back into Weymouth. So anyway, I guess at least when I get up just past the little, I can say that I've walked the 13-mile loop of the Portland loop of the Jurassic Coast Walk. So I don't know how many, still a few miles left to go, right? I think, top of my head, 13, 16 and a half, and 22. I think I've walked 30 of it. That's like a third, because I did some, a few years ago, when those cows bothered me that morning, if you remember. Sweetheart, I'd really like to do some of this with you. I think that the 10 miles west of Weymouth to a place called Attisbury, that apparently is quite easy. So, we have to do some research into this. I must admit, we really do, because some of these portions of it, if one decides, I can't go any further, I have to either go back or at least try and get to the nearest road and, get a bus or a taxi or something. I think in some places that could be a little awkward. Not impossible, but definitely awkward. So we'll have to do a little bit of research. See, the bit to the right, it looks as though it's a bit more sandy. But I don't think it is. It's just, from this distance, looks can be deceiving. There must be billions of pebbles here. I mean, literally billions. And I was thinking about it. I mean, did King Henry VIII, when he was worried about the French and had the forts built and all that, was he responsible for all this creation here, all these billions of pebbles being put here? I mean, if so, that would have been, whatever equipment they had back then, can you imagine? But something tells me that can't have been, I mean, I don't know. I would tend to doubt it. I mean, surely not. Anyway, so that's Portland. Portland Bill is over there on the right. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, so that's it. So that's not it with the... Going to spend a little bit of time today or tomorrow morning wandering around Weymouth. Maybe tonight get some of those Christmas lights. Mind you, it's not Regent Street. Alright, soon, love. Well, now you know, love. Chesil Beach, part of the Crown Estate. It's a heritage site. Not sure whose heritage site. Anyway, internationally protected for its unique coastal geomorphology, today's new word, and wildlife on its landward side, which is this side of the land. The other side is water, leeward. It is illegal to remove pebbles, no barbecue or fires. Please take your litter home. Please keep dogs under effective control. No camping. Thank you for helping us look after this special place. Now, I should say on the other side of it is yuck. Look, finish is just up there. And then I'm not sure. I'm guessing that feeds into the channel. Not sure. No. I'll find out one day. Maybe not today, but one day. These folks are going fishing. Lordy. Anyway, here we are. There's a little over there. There's a bus stop. I could grab a bus from here. Well, wherever the bus stop is, I suppose. Let's think about that. Well, my love, there's a reason for most things in life, including Chesil, is that how you pronounce it? Sea defences. The channel that runs behind this wall, Lucky Poo, look, it's 3, that's feet, right? 3 feet, just over 3 feet of water? Yeah, it's gotta be feet. Wow. What to say? Anyway, the channel that runs behind this wall at the back of Chesil Beach is a critical part of the local sea defences operated and maintained by the Environment Agency. During storm events, large waves push seawater into and through the shingle beach. An interceptor drain captures this seawater and releases it into Portland Harbour behind you. I saw a bunch of people windsurfing there yesterday. Via the flood alleviation channel you can see here. So that must go under the road. How about that? This vital drainage system takes flood water away from Portland, reducing the risk of flooding to people, property and this causeway between Portland and Weymouth. So it takes it away from Portland and closer to Weymouth. Jolly good. I'm sure it's not quite so nasty as that. Anyway, so there's a reason. You know. Oh, there's a helicopter taking off. There's I'm not sure if that's like a Navy helicopter or if that's like sightseeing, but it doesn't actually look like a sightseeing helicopter. Oh, there is one windsurfer over there. There were about, I don't know, 8 yesterday. Anyway, so this is it. Okay, this pavement here is for bicycles and pedestrians. Oh, yuck. Anyway. Alrighty. You know, you just can't get away from this bureaucracy, can you? All persons using kayaks, windsurfers, stand-up paddleboards and other vessels, including apparently kite surfing, are required to pay port and harbour dues. I mean, it's almost pathetic, isn't it? Well, get this, honey. Maybe this isn't man-made. Chesil Beach and the Fleet Lagoon. Special Area Conservation Site of Special Scientific Interest Nature Reserve, part of the West Dorset and East Devon World Heritage Site. Chesil is a storm beach made up of billions, I was right there, of pebbles, I was right there, washed up over 10,000 years ago. This immense structure is 18 miles long, stretching from Portland down to West Bay. Wow. It is home to all sorts of things. Chesil protects the land from huge waves rolling in from the Atlantic. Wow. The Fleet meaning shallows. Did you know this? The Fleet meaning shallows in Anglo-Saxon is the largest saline lagoon in England. Joined to the sea only by a ferry bridge, which should be in a few minutes. Wow. Now that 10,000, look, washed up over 10,000 years ago. Now that's very interesting, because the first thing I thought of when I read that was that the English Channel was formed, let's say, approximately 9,000 years ago. Some people say 10, some people say 8. So I'm just averaging out at 9. And whoever wrote that thing there about the beach being formed 10,000 years ago, maybe that was also 9,000 years ago. Maybe it was formed at the same time that the English Channel was formed. I mean, it's entirely plausible, isn't it, when you think about it? Before the English Channel was there, it's actually, the French call it La Manche, which means the sleeve. The Spanish call it, I think, La Mancha, which also means the sleeve. And of course it should be, I mean, why don't the English call it the sleeve? Why do we call it English Channel when it's half French? But there you go. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, and basically what happened off the western coast of today's Norway, there were three tsunamis, which apparently took place within like 48 hours, like one after the other, very quick. And those 3 tsunamis, I guess all the land that is now between England and France, all that land that was there, right? And so therefore you could just walk across it, take your animals and Lord knows what. All that land was, I guess, pushed down. I know what happened to it. It gets pushed down, it gets destroyed, or you know, these 3 tsunamis occurred. And then, you know, a lot of time, you know, when you get tsunamis, there's big waves and everything else, and then they retreat, and then things sort of return to the way they were, kind of. Not all the time, of course. Sometimes a tsunami will engulf an island, and the water will stay there. And the island is then underwater, or maybe, this is the bit I don't know. Is it possible that the islands somehow get destroyed because of the force of the water? And maybe all that land that was there then gets crushed and in this case became pebbles and was sort of pushed here? I mean, I don't know, right? I mean, obviously I don't know, right? I mean, but it seems as plausible as anything else. But yeah, so when I read that 10,000 years, you know, that's what I was thinking of, the formation of the English Channel. Might not be, of course, might be a complete coincidence and 2 separate events. Anyway, so here's something about Chesil Beach. I'm going to read that one. And apparently Chesil Beach is England's, not sure about Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. It just says England's only natural World Heritage Site. Now, isn't the Lake District a World Heritage Site? So I don't know when this was written. See, this is a date here. It kind of looks, you know, newish, right? And I think the the Lake District became a World Heritage Site, I'm going to guess and say 10 years ago. And this sign looks as though it's less than 10 years old. So I don't know. You know how these things, there's all these definitions and what have you. Okay, so let's just have what's this? Legacy Trail, discover the wild side. Oh yeah. Look at this, Chesil Beach. It was formed in the last 10,000 years. Now that could be 8,000, 9,000, 7,000. After the last ice age, from huge amounts of landslide material from the west. Oh, not from the east, which is where Norway, northeast. Its pebbles are graded by wave direction, so walking towards the island, they get bigger. Just I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, all this kind of stuff. And a lot of it, it's sort of ambiguous, isn't it? Certain things nobody knows precisely when. This is about the flowers of Chesapeake Beach. Anyway, so ferry bridge soon. Well, honey, that is some signs, but more amazing, that is blue sky behind it. And when I started this morning, for the first hour, it was that very fine, misty type drizzle, which was not great, because there was no real shelter. Anyway, I'm at Ferry Bridge. So this is the beginning and the starting point of the Portland 13-mile bit of the Jurassic Coast Walk. And this is called Ferry Bridge. Now, this point here, I'm not sure if it's this left or the next left, then that's where one would pick up the Southwest Coast Path, part of the Jurassic Coast Path thing, and it's about a 10-mile stint to Abbott's Bury. And that's described as easy. Now this bit I've just done, the bit is described as moderate, and then heading in the east direction, the first 3.5 miles, although this sign says 4 to Weymouth, actually no, look at that, 2.5 along the coast path, must be, that says 4 that way. Figure this out, right? Town centre 4, Weymouth 2.5, so maybe 2.5 is to like the edges of Weymouth or something. I don't know. Anyway, anyways, and then, so I walked that bit yesterday, right, and I kind of started at the King George III Memorial. So when I start up again, whenever that day is, then that's where I'll start, the King George Memorial, head east. And that part of the walk is described as difficult or challenging. So if we are to do something like this, I would suggest that we do the 10 miles from either this left or the next left down to Abbott's Bury. Now, which got me thinking actually that Chesapeake Beach pebbly thing, billions of pebbles, 18 miles long. Can you imagine how long it would take to walk 18 miles over pebbles? I mean, normally you kind of walk, 3 miles an hour, right? So say 6 hours, but over pebbles, and knocks that down a bit, right? But fortunately, that is not the Southwest Coast Path. It's either this left or the next left, but hey, that's sometime in the future. Now, this whole thing has got me thinking, actually, like, this Chesapeake Beach was formed about 10,000 years ago. It's about, you had these tsunamis that started, of course, the whole Ice Age thing. So maybe what happened was that, you had the Ice Age and all that, and then some, great big chunks of ice fell off, which they do, right? I mean, maybe not massive, but, they do. I mean, and I guess all it takes is for an abnormally big one. And, maybe it was 3 chunks of ice, one day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And if they're large enough, I suppose they can cause tsunamis. I mean, why not? And then, you had the channel formed, the English Channel formed, and maybe this Chesapeake Beach, that's when that came out. I'm speculating, of course, but in a way, it just makes sense, doesn't it? It really does. Look at this, see? Coast Path, Abbott's Bury. Oh, so it's about a 1/4 mile to the coast path, and then once you're on that coast path, it's about 10 miles. Anyway, the other thing about this, actually, so I walked from Weymouth to this point, the King George III statue to this point yesterday. Now, some of this is actually part of this, the Rodwell Trail, which, so we're down here, it ends up there. Now, where it ends, it's about 100 yards or 75 yards from where I'm staying. So what I could do, I could walk along it, right? It's, according to this, it's 3,366 meters to t'other end, which is, say, close to where I'm staying. Now, I did walk some of this yesterday. You can see along here. This is where we are now. At this point here, Oldcastle Road, I'd come from Weymouth, so I'd come sort of like, you know, down this kind of thing. And at this point here, that's when I joined the Rodwell Trail. So if I were to do this now, here to here would be a repeat of what I did yesterday, and then I could go continue on, and then at the other end, say it's about, you know, maybe 75 yards, 100 yards from where I'm staying. There's an Asda there, so I could, you know, I'm tempted to do that actually. What time is it? 2 o'clock. I could do that. The bus stop is up there. I could take a bus. And see, this is a torpedo. They've got these information points along, and for a reason. This is some, just down there, they were making torpedoes and testing them in the harbour during the Second World War. So yeah, maybe I will, eh? Well, the Rodwell Trail, 3,366 meters long, just past a 2,000 meter marker just down there. 0 is at Weymouth, 3,366 is at Ferry Bridge down there. At 2,000 there was a marker with King Henry VIII on it, and that was because just over there there's a castle called, or a fort called Sandsfoot. That's one that was built during his time because he was worried about the French. And I know that because yesterday when I walked from Weymouth, I came along that way. The fort's just over there. And in fact, you can actually maybe just see it. Yeah, okay, those are the gardens for it. So it's actually closed because of some deterioration. Anyway, so the ghost path was down there, came up here, and joins the Rodwell Trail here. And you can see that in that sign. Coast path down to the left to Weymouth, and this way to Ferry Bridge. And so, you know, I went along this way yesterday, and so this is new. This is new, and say just under 2,000 meters from here is the end of it, which is about 175 yards from where I'm staying. And what does this say here? A nice bit of graffiti. The Rodwell Trail from rail to rail. Anyway, so I've got less than 2,000 meters to go. I might stop at the Asda. Let's see. Did I say 2,000 miles? No, surely not. Well, if I did, I meant 2,000 meters. Well, actually, probably now 1,950-ish. Well, there he is, honey. The last king of the USA. But don't worry, before I go, I am going to take a video of him during daylight hours. Anyway, so let's do it the third. Okay, it's a little earlier. It's 5 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. As you can see, it's sort of, I guess it's not dark, but because you know, at 8 o'clock it's. Remember, was it yesterday? No, yes, it must have been yesterday when I was here. I couldn't even see the sand. Now I can see it. But I don't think this iPad can. I mean, I can actually see a shadow from the lights behind me, which I couldn't at 8 o'clock last night. So it is, say it's 5 o'clock now, but nevertheless. Okay, so this is. Don't worry, I'm gonna do one more tomorrow when it's daylight. I can. There's a couple of dogs over there. I can just make out the lights on their collars. Anyway, so you can see a few lights. That's, I don't know, that's the pavilion, whatever that is. That's facing west, facing east. And oh, this sign here actually. So it says, I don't know if you can make out, coast path and coast path. So I'm going to regard this as the, if you like, the border as to where I've walked and where I haven't. And yesterday I did walk from here to Portland Bill, so that would have been west, about 3 miles through Weymouth, 3.5, whatever, to Portland, and then the rest of it. And today the opposite direction. So at some point in the future, you're going to have to go that way, east, to Durdle Door and Lowell Cove and all of that, and that apparently is challenging. But that is what it is. To the accommodation from here, it's about a 6 or 7 minute walk. So that's kind of quite handy. Look at this. I mean, charity site. I guess that's there for a reason. Anyway, so we're going to go behind King George. And just want to show you the lights here, the Christmas lights, not the other sort of lights. Okay, that's where I got the bus from, over there to Portland. I would think, you know, during the summer, all these stores are going to be open. Of course, it's, you know, it stays light, you know, much longer, and there's a whole bunch of fish and chip shops and all that normal stuff, right? There's the Weatherspoons over there, and then down this street and the next street, you know, your normal high street shops and banks and stuff. But I say a lot of these, I noticed like this, the Good Life Cafe, that's closed right now. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that would normally be open during the summer that's closed right now. Yeah, and I dare say the owners are down in their second homes in Spain or Turkey or wherever. There we go. What street's this? I don't know. Oh, the pink cake shop is closed, as is whatever it is next to it. Anyway, so let's zoom out as best I can. Okay, so these are the Christmas lights. And if I go to the next street, there's some on here as well. So have a look at them. Okay, what does that say? Does that say anything? I don't know. Anyway, does that say anything? I don't know. Anyway, and as you can see, go down and zoom in there. Some old Christmas lights down there, and of course it's not Regent Street, is it? And Oxford Street and all that, but you know, it is what it is. And so during the summer, of course, all the accommodation prices are probably going to be at least double. You know, I'm paying 30. No breakfast, which suits me fine. Don't want breakfast. I mean, not that type of breakfast you get in most of these B&Bs anyway. And zoom in again. There we go. Okay, so that's part of the Christmas lights, and I still can't make out what that says. If that is supposed to, that's not supposed to say anything, is it? Anyway, okay, so I'm heading that way. Well, how about that for a bright Thursday morning? Of course, the obvious question here is, I wonder if the owner's first name is Gordon. I have a feeling not, actually, because I have a feeling if that was the case, then the name of the chippy would reflect that. But look what's behind it. Oh, that blue sky. I mean, we saw a bit of it Wednesday afternoon on the way back from the walk. But look at it now. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Da 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 da. I mean, it's still nippy, of course. But had it been like this yesterday morning, I wouldn't have got drizzled on for an hour in that light kind of misty sort of drizzle. I may not have slipped over. I mean, you know, who knows? I mean, I suspect that it's still pretty muddy. But look at all this, and look, here we are. This is part of Weymouth Harbour here. All the different colours. It's all kind of cute, isn't it? All these little stores and businesses and maybe homes, cottages there. And look here. During the summer, this would be completely different. There's a fishing vessel. I wonder if that's the only one. Oh no, there's some behind it. Never know these days. But yeah, I mean, and there's all sorts of trips here. Like this one's mackerel trips, and then there's other trips. Some of them go up to Dirtle Door, which is that arch type thing. That Weymouth Bay Ride, Cruise, Dirtle Door. You know, it's that sort of thing. There's one there, Dirtle Door, Lulworth Cove, or Portland Bill. So in the summer, this would truly be rocking. Today is, now it's Thursday, the 1st of December, White Rabbit's Day, and you can see there the, well obviously this here immediately in front of us is not the harbour, that's going to be out there a bit. That's where the sailing would have taken place in all those water events for the 2012 Olympics. It's all rather cute, isn't it? That's just over there, that place there. That's Catch Restaurant. I believe that has at least one Michelin star anyway. I suspect it's only one, but of course, as you know, I'm on my way to find out. The reservation is about 45 minutes time. Anyway, so yeah, you can see a few cutesy little places along here. All different colours, aren't they? And you know, all along the south coast of England there's going to be cutesy little places like this. Some may be more cutesy. I'm not too sure the definition of the word cutesy in this respect, to be honest, but a lot of people seem to like it. And to be fair, you know, when the weather cooperates, I mean, now it kind of looks not so bad, but it is a bit nippy. But you know, especially in the summer when the days are longer, you know, it's just very, very picturesque. I was in Asda out there, just came from there actually. I mean, like yesterday on the walk and the day before, of course, you know, the views wouldn't be what they are today, that's for sure. You know, but that's just one of those things, isn't it? Yeah. Pretty, isn't it? So pretty that I'm going to get the phone out and take a picture. I think that's one of those almost picture postcard type views. Okay. Okay, there we go. Let's see if he's I put the self-timer on because, you know, when anyone takes a photograph, the action of the finger on the shutter, as you depress the shutter using a finger, you know, there's a very, very, very slight vibration there. And of course, for most photographs, you know, it doesn't matter, does it? Not really. But, you know, if you're going to blow something up or put it on a mug or a t-shirt or something like that, you know, it might just cause an extra bit of a blur. So by using a self-timer, you know, one isn't using one's finger to depress the shutter because it's doing it automatically, as I've just done. But of course, it's basically rubbish camera phone and all of that. But yeah, so had I had last 2 days walking, if I'd had this sort of blue sky, then it would have been so much more picturesque than it was. But that's just one of those things, isn't it? Can take another picture actually. There we go. See, this way I have 10 seconds to try and keep the phone as still as possible. In fact, I rested the phone on top of the iPad. But anyway, there you go. It's nice, isn't it? It's pretty. And to the other side as well, of course. Besides the Asda there, I was staying just up there actually. I mean, it took me about 5 minutes to walk to the Asda. Do about 10 minutes to walk here onto this bridge. But yes, there's a few more boats here, yachts and things like that, as you can see. I guess this bridge opens. Yeah, it looks like this bridge is one of these up and down ones. In fact, yesterday and the day before it was closed, some people working on it. Anyway, so we're just gonna go for a quick shifty to catch, so you can see for yourself, my love, where I'm going, and get a better idea than what one does by looking at websites. Okay, yeah, this must really be heaving in the summer. I mean, if anything, this past summer, it would have been too hot. Well, for me anyway. You know how it goes, right? When it's kind of cold, you can warm yourself up by layering. But when it's too hot, of course, there's a limit to that. You can't just strip yourself naked. Well, not legally anyway. Okay. All right. So we are approaching. Okay. Is that an old fishing boat? Wow. Anyway, yes, there's a few fishing boats here. None of them particularly big, actually. Oh, look at that sun over there. And here's Catch. Hatch. Hatch. Where's Catch? That confused me. Look, it says Hatch over there. And yet, here, Catch at the old fish market. Serving the freshest, sustainable seafood matched with local and seasonal produce. Okay. This is our seafood trailer visits Curry's PC World Car Park Wednesday, Friday. Anyway, so okay, so I'm going to be taking a few videos and pictures for you. WhatsApp the pictures over, and then give you my report later. And who knows? We may well be here at some point. Well, here's a different perspective. Firstly, that building there is the pavilion. That's the one that I could see from the coach stop with just the word, I think, pavilion lit up. And it appears to be some sort of entertainment theatre. I guess they've got Sleeping Beauty pantomime this year. Remember pantomime, honey? Anyway, that looks as though it's going on there. Go back to here. Okay, here's the beach. As you can see, this is sandy. And as are a lot of beaches from this point on heading well, east a bit up to, say, Bournemouth, Poole, around there, and then certainly west in t'other direction. This is Weymouth Harbour, and it would have been out there that they would have had a lot of the Olympic events 10 years ago. Wow! But as far as I know, this beach is natural, and I'm sure it is. Just like Chesaw Beach yesterday. I just moved to where I'm in the shade. Actually, I almost need sunglasses, believe it or not. No, God. Anyway, here we go. Now the coach stopped, I think, just sort of over there. Can't see exactly opposite the M&S food hall. That's kind of over there. And then the accommodation was about a 7-8 minute walk. So that statue of King George III must be kind of around there. Something like that. And as you can see, you can kind of follow the beach all the way around. Actually, it goes all the way. All the way, and it looks as though, can't really tell, it looks as though it ends there, but it may not. You know, it may just be because of the angle that I'm looking at it. But yeah, this is certainly not the only place in England that has a beach like this, that's for sure. But I say, this is the 1st of December, so maybe it's just the people from Iceland or Canada that would actually be out on the beach itself, you know, lying horizontally, as opposed to just walking their dogs or what have you. It was in Weymouth that my parents met. Right, less said about that, the better. Anyway, it looks to be a bit of a fun grand carousel there and all that. And again, during the summer, I mean, this is all just going to be chockers. All these places are going to be open. You know, they're going to be open till late at night, you know, when you've got those long days and all of that. And yeah. So let's go and go back. Oh, I don't want to get out of the shade, but anyway, I have to be at the my reservation's about 20 minutes, so no worries there. So yeah, today's what's today? Thursday. I suppose on the weekend there's going to be a lot of people out there sailing on whatever they're sailing, I suppose, or windsurfers or paddleboarders. Of course, paddleboard, you know, the stand-up paddleboards. You know that we excel at that. Well, especially me, as you recall. Anyway, so it looks as though one can go all the way out there walking. I'm not going to do that now because I want to do that with you. Oh, there's that pavilion sign. That must be what I saw lit up by the coach stop. Anyway, oh, now coming into the sun again. Can you believe it? Sun in December. Yeah, so the pantomime of your dreams. Sleeping Beauty. Ay. Anyway, so let's go back. And of course, this is the south coast of England. I'm sure if one is up on the, of course, there is no north coast of England because the northern part of England borders is a land border with Scotland. But there are, of course, east and west coasts. And I'm sure the further north you go right now, then maybe the colder it is and the less sun it is and more chance of snow. Of course, not too sure how often they have snow here. Probably not a great deal of time, I suspect. Hey, so, okay, can't walk up there. It's all blocked off for some reason. Okay, and yeah, there's more of these I don't know, cruise boats, you know, these day trips, all that kind of thing. And oh, there's an RNLI station and boat just over there on the left. I walked past that a couple of days ago, on the first day of my walk, actually. So the southwest coast actually goes along there and up out through that way. And there's a fort over there, actually. I don't know if you can see it from here. Called Nothe, N-O-T-H-E. I think it's behind those trees. Anyway, it's only a little fort. It's not like Dover or Tower of London or anything. Anyway, so this is it. So, okay, this is where I was just a few minutes ago. Restaurant's down there on the right. And let's head in soon. Well, how about that? Of course, Weymouth, there are trains from here to Waterloo station in London. And the train station itself is kind of over there, about half a mile. But it looks as though once upon a time, at least according to this picture, as though the trains actually literally stopped here, like literally here. I mean, look at that picture anyway. Same with that one there. How about that? Of course, this is a port, and I don't know about these days, but certainly they have. I think there are ferries to France going from somewhere, unless maybe it's seasonal. And of course, the Channel Islands aren't so far away. And before the 70s, and when people started sort of heading off to Spain and those sort of climbs, you know, when there were more airplanes and all of this, then a lot of people would go to the Channel Islands. A lot more, well, than today. I don't know. Maybe a few. Well, we did. But back before airplanes, it was a lot more popular to go there, and I suppose people would come to Weymouth by driving or train or whatever. And if that picture's anything to go by, the trains would actually stop here. The boats would be there. So you get off the train and literally just step onto the boat. And then, I mean, it's not so far away, is it? To the Channel Islands, I don't know, a few hours? Not sure. Now, the other thing is also here as well that's a little significant is that not just Weymouth here, but a lot of places along the south coast would have been used as embarkation points for troops heading over for D-Day, the 6th of June 1944. And there's something on the pavement here that gets into that. Weymouth was one of the main embarkation points for troops assembled in South Dorset in preparation for the invasion of France during World War II. And yes, absolutely. I say not just here, but all along the south coast, there would have been a lot of activity. And so for a lot of people, you know, they didn't all survive, of course. Yeah, so there's a certain history about that kind of thing as well, actually. Anyway, I think I'm going to walk slowly. Look at this, see? The Great Western Railway Company started crossings from Weymouth to the Channel Islands in 1889. Okay, here's next. See, here's Sea Link ferries. And, okay, here's the Condor ones, like almost like those not catamarans, but they're not hydrofoils, but what do they call those things? Anyway, they're faster. And you know, maybe it's just seasonal these days. I mean, you can't see any around here now. So maybe they're seasonal. And so you want to go to the Channel, or maybe if you want to go to the Channel Islands like we did, you know, maybe one could just go up to Portsmouth like we did, or maybe there's other places along the coast. Whereas in the summer it would of course, you know, be a bit busier. Anyway, so and you think you're having a bad day. Well, sweetheart, I've just left. The restaurant is upstairs on the first floor, second floor to you, and downstairs there's like a shop, a retail shop, selling fish stuff. Here we are. Fortunately, as you can see, the sun's moved around as it does, and now this is all in shade. Thank Lord for that, I must admit. Yeah, I almost prefer it, you know, when you don't get the sun shining down on things. Anyway, so we can talk about that later, restaurant later if you want. Anyway, yeah, there's the sun over there. See, it is what now? It's what, 2:30. I was in there for maybe just over 2 hours. And it is December, so the sun's quite low in the sky. It's just behind there, actually, already. So that's why we're in shade. And yeah, I mean, in June, of course, the sun would still be up there right now, and this would be bright sunshine probably. Anyway, so just got a little bit more to tell you. Let's come in now. Well, you know, it was getting a bit cold, so I'm now not in shade anymore. There's the sun over there but I'm still cold. Anyway, okay, so that's the pavilion thing over there. So I just walked around from the restaurant and just along the looks like they've got 2 high streets here, just your average high street. So back on well, you can see here's the sandy beach. So I took part of this video comes from over there, and as you can see, this beach goes all the way to at least approximately there, and then maybe beyond. Can't really tell from this angle, but certainly, you know, as you can see here. And anyway, so this is all the beach front. So let's find, I'm gonna have to go back into the shade again and freeze. It is nippy. Oh dear. Now look at that, Cornish clotted spring, not even in Cornwall. Showers here, ready for the summer, I guess. It must be nice, right? You know, you go for a nice dip in the harbour there in the summer, and then come out, have a shower, and there's your changing rooms, and you know, lots of places selling ice cream, I would think. But they're all closed now, and even if at least one of them is open, can't imagine anyone's going to have ice cream right now. There are a few people around that appear to be visitors. Watch this, the royal dipping. George III visited Weymouth in June 1789 to convalesce from having lost the colonies. To convalesce from his first bout of mental illness. And doctors were recommending sea bathing as a cure for many ailments. A royal bathing machine enabled the king to undress and enter the water with some privacy. A 1789 cartoon by John Nixon shows that his first dip in the sea was hardly private. The king visited Weymouth on 14 occasions between 1789 and 1805. The replica of his bathing machine now stands near the king's statue unveiled in 1810. Let's go check it out. Okay, without getting run over. Oh my god, that's a bathing. I wonder what that thing was. It's a bathing machine where you don't actually bathe, but you undress maybe. Bathing machine. Oh, okay. Oh, dearie me. Okay, let's check out the bathing machine. Okay, here's a bit more about it here. Bathing, a serious medical occasion. This is a replica of the bathing machine used by King George III, who was a frequent visitor. Okay. Now, you know, We never know. You might be doing one of those quizzes that you're so good at, like in Malta. And that might be the question. What is that? There. It is a four-wheeled bathing machine. Or that one's a replica. But here we go. The grateful inhabitants to George III on his entering the 50th year of his reign, which started 1760. 1760. Okay, and there he is up there, the last king of USA. Well, probably wasn't the USA when he started. Anyway, so there he is. Oh, is that some writings about him? There's a lion on the left and a unicorn on the right. Oh, there's something about whatever it was. King George statue, Guildhall, Weymouth, October the 18th, 1809. Needs a bit of a clean, doesn't it? You know, they should clean this for the tourist season. I mean, I can't imagine it, you know, that it was clean a few months ago. It looks as though it hasn't been cleaned in years. But anyway, that's it. There he is. All hail your former king. Oh dear. Oh dear, he must be freezing up there. Anyway, look, see palm trees. Palm trees. Oh, former palm tree. Wonder why that one's not there anymore. Oh, here's that bus, the Jurassic coaster. Look, you see it goes from well, hang on, it goes elsewhere. This one goes from Axminster over on the east to, it looks like here, Weymouth, and also up to Dorchester, which is about 8 miles north. But there's another one of them that goes to Poole. So they must have two of them. And this is the one that sort of, you know, is on the west side, and the other one goes on the east side and must go, I don't know exactly where, but say between here and Poole or something like that. Anyway, I'm sure it says Portland on the front. Anyway, I'm sure if you Google Jurassic coaster buses, then all your answers will be, or your questions will be answered. I did read that they were £13.60 for one day. But anyway, so that's it then from Weymouth. And His Majesty there, and his bathing machine replica here. The coach back to London goes from down there. So, oh, there's the moon up there. Can you see it? There it is. Ah. No clouds in the sky, so you can actually see the moon. Anyway, but what do you expect? You know, 1st of December, come on, you know. Solstice, the winter solstice is in, well, 20 days. Anyway, so will we be here? Well, there's a good chance, isn't there? Anyway, so yeah, that's it. So anyway, I'm gonna see if I can find some sun so I can stand in the sun and wait for the coach. So, talk to you later, Gator. And just finally, there are some white cliffs over there, but I just wanted to give you a brief reminder of an incident that happened in somewhere in the middle of Australia. There we go. Beware. Don't feed the locals. Chip feed thieves operate in this area. And you know what I'm referring to. And okay. Right, here's the coach stop, and all I need now is a coach to get onto.